Welcome into the State 48 podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Matthews, as we bring you all things AZ. So, of course, why not bring in an Arizona legend, a good friend of State 48, Luis Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here today. We are so excited.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Now, we like to have fun on this show, and I say that as like we've been doing this for years, but we bring the fun here, so I thought we'd start off with a little game just to get started.
Okay.
Fans get to know you a little better. Right. It's called This or That, so some tough questions here, okay?
All right.
First one. Tacos or tostones?
That's a tough one because I can go either way. I'll say tacos.
You can probably eat more tostones though, right? I eat them like candy. So people who don't know, you're Cuban. Right. A very cultural food item is tostones, which is fried banana. You must try. Have you found a place here in the Valley to go to?
Oh, God, that's been hard. They used to have a place called Havana Cafe when I first got here, and then they've ended up closing down and stuff. So it's been a grind to try to find the culture to go find some good food.
Of course, nothing like your abuelas or your mom's tostones.
I like the plátanos more than the tostones. So.
Okay, now I'm getting hungry, but I would choose tacos. I'm Mexican, so that's something I was raised on. I can eat it like candy as well. So, all right, Arizona heat or Florida humidity?
Oh, man, that's tough because I grew up in Florida, but I love the Arizona heat. It's a dry heat. I always tell people that, and they always go, what's a dry heat? But, yeah, the humidity, you're always constantly sweating. Over here, you just got to drink a lot of water. Mm-hmm. So I love the Arizona heat.
Well, you've been here since, so there's no going back, right?
Absolutely. This is home.
All right, retro D-backs jerseys. This might cause some conflict here. Or the current look that we got going.
I'm going to be biased and go retro, but the current, the black seems to always sell in whatever sport it is now. It's a new generation. So I can see how everybody's excited about the new uniforms.
So fun fact about the retro, I was born and raised here in the Valley. They did a contest amongst elementary schools to design the logo. And I think I was in the top 5. I'm a horrible designer, but I was in the top 5 at the time. And I was in, 1998. I don't want to say, but I was in grade school. Okay. But I have a close tie to the retro jerseys there. Okay. So for you, this or that, walk-off win or hitting for the cycle?
Oh, walk-off win is always.
And especially if you're going to win the World Series.
Exciting.
So.
Super exciting for everybody.
Salsa music. I actually don't know your taste of music, so I'm just going on a whim here. Or hip hop?
Oh, man. I would say if you would have thrown country in there, because I went to
college.
college in Mobile, Alabama. So
I almost did that.
It's hard because I'm one of those guys that I could flip through the radio and everything.
Everything sounds good.
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the board.
Okay, so if you were still playing, what would be your walk-up song today?
Well, when I was playing, it was Collective Soul, and the song was called Heavy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know what kind of – it'd have to be something catchy to try to get the fans kind of energized a little bit to, it's his song, pay attention, right. He's coming up to the plate.
Yep, I love that. Okay, Arizona feel here. Would you rather encounter a scorpion or a tarantula?
Ooh, I'd like to say neither, but probably a scorpion. They're smaller, and you don't see it until the last second. Tarantula is probably...
Yeah, neither. How about that?
Neither would be good.
Okay, we're going to close off with another food banger here. Sonoran hot dog or a churro dog from the ballpark? And have you had both?
I have not.
What?
I haven't. It's hard to eat and out there at the ballpark.
Especially something that
I like the churro dog because I like churros. So
you got to go with that. I have had the churro dog. It was a lot. It was a lot, but kept me amped for the whole game. And then I was like passed out by 7th inning. So that's usually the case anyways. But anyways, it is so surreal for me just to be sitting here across from you as a Valley, a native girl here growing up. I mean, you're the only thing that really truly brought joy to us if you're about 30-something years old, bringing that World Series win. For you, obviously staying here in the Valley, what have you seen as the lasting impact of what you've been able to create here in Arizona?
Well, I think I've always been a people person. So for me, it's always about giving back and being part of the community. And you're a Latina, so in my culture that I grew up with, my family being Cuban and the heritage, it's always about family, being around people, giving back. So for me, it was important to um, try to make an impact. I was that little kid that was always at ballparks trying to get autographs and things like that, and I had always said, okay, if I ever make it, I want to be different. I want to be, the guy that always takes extra time for people and is around that. So I think my mom and my grandparents and my dad and everybody kind of brought me up the right way about learn how to respect people, treat people the way you want to be treated, and not only that, but just appreciate everything you have because when you grow up, yeah, you grow up in a household with a ton of people living in there.
The Latino way.
Oh my God. And it's maybe a one or two bathrooms and you got like 8 or 9 people living in the house and you got to either get up early for hot water and then to eat, you got to be one of the first to get to the table. So, for me, it was always fun to be around that type of culture. And I still, even when I was at the top of my game and, being an all-star and things like that, I never want to forget where I came from. And that, for me, it always kept me grounded. I always try to treat people the same. And I just enjoy life. I love being around people and meeting different people and different cultures.
You talk about that little boy, little Luis. I'm sure it was like backyard dreams for you coming to life. Craig Counsell gets hit by the pitch, and then all of a sudden you're up at bat with this amazing opportunity to bring it home for Arizona, for your team. Do you recall what you were thinking as you went up to bat?
Oh my God. For me, it was a surreal moment because as a little kid, you always dream about and play that moment in your mind, whether you're playing in the backyard or with your buddies out in the street, or even at your little league games, game 7, bottom of the 9th, the World Series, and you're up to the, at the plate. Or if if you're a pitcher, you probably think about being the pitcher to strike the guy out to win it. And when I was on deck, I was actually, Counsell had a great championship series, doing well in the World Series. And it was, he was going up to the plate, and I was like, okay, where do I want to go when he gets this game-winning hit? That's what I was thinking because, at the time, the Wheaties box was the big thing. And
your celebration dance, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I was thinking in my mind, okay, where do I want to go? Do I run towards him? Do I run to the run coming in to cross home plate? And, all these things were going through my mind. And then all of a sudden, boom, he gets hit by a pitch. And now I'm like, oh, my God, it's bases loaded now. And this is the scenario that I was dreaming about in my life. Now I'm 30 years old. I'm walking up to the plate, and Joe Torre comes out to bring to talk to the pitcher and bring the infield in. I knew they were going to pitch to him because of the simple fact of the year that I had. And everybody's going to say, you can't let, one of the elite guys in the, lineup or whatever beat you. You got to let somebody else. So when he got hit, for me, my whole mindset changed. And before I even got in the batter's box, I was thinking, we grew up in a Hispanic household. So for me, I was thinking, oh, my God, what is my mom thinking? What is my grandmother?
They have the rosary out.
Yeah, they got everything. They got everything. So, in that moment, I was thinking, oh, my God, they got to be going crazy right now. And for me, I'm trying to breathe, relax, know that, it's a one-shot opportunity. You're either going to do it or you're not. And just try to calm myself down because now you got 50,000 people in the stadium standing on their feet. Everybody's looking at you, cheering for you, and you got millions of people watching all over the country. And I'm thinking, my coaches are watching, my college, all my family, my friends, everybody I've been cross paths with and associated with that knows me is hopefully on my side, hoping that I get this hit. And then it was 9/11. There were so many other things that were going on. And then when I got in the batter's box, I felt like a sense of calm that got in me. And then, they brought the infield in, and I was just thinking in my mind, I got to get something in the outfield to get that run in. And when he threw, I wanted to be aggressive because Mariano Rivera is the best closer of all time, never blew a save in any postseason. And I fouled the first pitch back, and I was like, oh, gosh, man, that was a good pitch, and I missed it. So I said, oh, stay aggressive, stay aggressive. He's got to come at me. He can't afford to walk me or anything. And the next pitch, as soon as it left my bat, I knew it was going to fall in. In my dream, I dreamed about either hitting a home run or hitting something in the gap to celebrate. In reality, I'll take the blooper.
That's all you need.
That's all I needed right there, and I'll take it. And I really didn't know how, when you're with your friends or your buddies, I'm a sports fan. I love football, basketball, hockey, everything. And, you're sitting on the couch or golf, you're wondering, man, what does that feel like to be in that moment, to do that? And for me to have a chance to do that in Arizona, being one of the first, people to be on that championship team, it was so surreal. And I jumped up and down. I really didn't realize it's kind of an out-of-body experience of what's going on. Everybody's jumping on you in celebration. I'm so thankful that it happened at our home in front of our home crowd. And that's what I think a lot of the people are so hungry about now, especially the little kids. The parents that were around here got to experience that. And even you did when you were a young kid. So I want to get back to that, hopefully it's baseball, but whether it's football or basketball. The Suns were so close a couple years ago. The Cardinals were close the year after the World Series. I went to the Super Bowl in Tampa. It was in my hometown. And, they were so close, a play or two away from winning the whole thing. And, it's one of those things that I want people to be able to experience what I felt and what the fans felt that day. And, man, if I could bottle up what was going through my mind and what the feeling that I had when I got the hit, I would love to share it with everybody, to just have that moment and that feeling that you have. And even to this day, it's 21 years later, and fans still come up to you and say, man, you helped bring that championship. And I almost feel embarrassed because it wasn't just me. I was in that moment, but it was our whole team was really special. And the people in the community, they rallied around us when we were down 3-2, coming back to Arizona. So it was really all of us. And I always like to say, man, it was a state. It was everybody that was here. We were all a part of it. We were a team. So that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah, it's such a core memory. You talk about, I'm in my 30s now. I was 11-ish at the time. I know exactly where I was. I was so superstitious that whenever Craig Counsell went up to bat, I would do his whole, put the arm up, put the shoulder to the neck. And then when you came up to bat, I remember I put my head in the pillow and I just started praying, and I was already crying.
I'm glad you were praying for me.
I was praying. My mom, and we were living in an apartment at the time. And as soon, I'm like, Dad, just tell me what happens. I could not watch. Yeah. I was trembling. And all of a sudden I hear my dad, he did it. And I'm not kidding you. The entire apartment complex erupted. Everyone was in that moment at that same time. And for me, that in that moment, I was like, I have to feel this moment, and I want to feel this moment as many times as I can in my life. And that's truly why I got into broadcast journalism. I was like, I am so hungry to be in that feeling. And for me, it was like getting to know the players. Right. I followed you guys that entire season until that final game. And it was so, for me, hungry just to know who you guys were off the field and just to see how genuine you are, and following you throughout these years. It's been amazing to watch. It's been surreal. 20 years now, 21 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's what makes me feel good about I'd say job. It was not a job. It was an opportunity to do something that millions of people wanted to do. And for people to remember, like you said, where you were at that moment, those are special moments, and it doesn't happen every day. So it's always exciting for me when, like people come up and say, oh, I don't want to bore you, but I remember where I was at. And I love that, because for me, I'm part of the people's experience or their journey that they had to get to that moment. And that was a feeling of pleasure that they had. And that's why I always say sports has a unique way of, 9/11, it was a time of, disbelief, number one, tragedy. A lot of people lost their lives, and sports brought people back together, unified the country when we needed it. And I always enjoy it. And you're able to cheer for your favorite players, boo the guys you don't like. And it's part of it. That's part of either being an athlete or being part of that journey. And I love that when you meet people and things like that, when they say where they were, like you just did to me, that made me feel so good, because you know that you were part of that process of, like you said, when you were 11, or if somebody was 20 years old, or even somebody that was 75 years old. Everybody has a different way or perspective of the way they saw that moment.
It's unforgettable. That's what makes sports so special, as you were saying.
Absolutely.
So I'm always curious, you know, just talking to athletes and some of them like yourself playing at that elite level, having that pinnacle moment. You're on top of the mountain and it's just overwhelming, right? You wake up the next day and you realize it's so much more about the journey than that actual moment. For you, what did you learn about yourself in the aftermath of that World Series victory?
For one, I didn't sleep that whole night. Couldn't believe that I was part of that major moment. Like I said, because I was a sports fan, and you always expect it to happen to somebody else. You always hope that you're a part of that, or it's going to happen to you, but you never really go, oh, it's going to happen to me, 2 years from now or 5 years from now. And, my path and my journey that it took me to get to that moment, I played on different teams and was traded and different things.
I will never forget that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just, I learned about how to appreciate. I grew up in that mode, but I learned how to appreciate the moment and the value of it, because there were so many players, great players that played not just baseball, but so many other sports, and never get that opportunity to even play in a Super Bowl or a World Series and things like that. And then for us, like when it happened, we were like, oh, we're going to do it again next year. And then, a week before the season, or 2 weeks before the end of the season, I dove for a ball, and the guy, Tony Womack, hits my shoulder. I'm done for the year. We're going into the playoffs. We're limping into the playoffs. A couple guys were hurt. And you just realize how valuable and how precious that moment is when you have it. Take full advantage of it, enjoy it, and spend that extra time around all your teammates and everybody else. Because for me, the one regret that I still to this day bothers me is when we won the World Series, and because you're a reporter and I got yanked away from my teammates. And I had to go in a press room and go in there and do interviews about, what did it feel like and that. And if I had to do it all over again, I would have said, give me 20 minutes with my teammates to celebrate that moment, because I had to do all of that, for the people at home and, the media and everybody. And then when I ran back in the locker room, they were still celebrating, but it wasn't like right in that moment. It was almost like the tail end of it, and I was catching the tail end of it. But it was still exciting and fun, but that was my only regret that I took away, that I missed a huge part of that celebration, where if I had to do it all over again, because I was trying to be so accommodating to everybody, that I would have said, let me spend that extra time with my family and friends, because it's a special moment. And at the moment, I thought, oh, this is the first time. We're going to do it again 4 or 5 more times, and it doesn't really happen. So if there's anything that I can relate to either another athlete or somebody, when you have that special moment, relish in it and take full advantage of it, because you don't know if you're ever going to get it again.
You don't, and everything has to come together perfectly just
Absolutely.
To be able to get to that time. What was so special? I mean, you talk obviously championship winning team, but what specifically made that team so resilient, so special?
I think, well, we were the oldest team in baseball at the time. I think the average age was either right at 30 or just above 30 years old. We like to call ourselves as cast-offs, because we were players. This was a new organization, so we were players from different organizations. And when we were all brought together in 99, 98 was the first year, the inaugural year. In 99, they went out and said, we're going to get some free agents, we're going to make some trades and things like that. And when we were all brought together, I was elated, because right around Christmas time was when they made the trade for me from Detroit. And I was looking at the list of guys that were on that team, and those were all guys that I respected. I respected the way they played the game, the type of people they were, and they were all family guys. I mean, they were all older guys. So when I walked into that locker room, I felt like I felt like I knew everybody on the team because I'd played against them for so long. And just a simple fact that, you know, a lot of the guys on the team had kids already, and it was a fun family atmosphere. When we go on the road, guys would go to dinner together. 10, 15 guys go to, you know, when the plane lands. We were a very tight-knit bunch of guys. We were in Tucson spring training. So when we were there, you know, after games or at night, we would all meet together to go break bread together, talk about baseball, talk about life, talk about family. And that was so cool about that whole team. I'm not going to lie and say we never had our arguments in the clubhouse and things like that, because that happens. But when we went out on the field, we knew we were representing not only our, you know, the names on the back of the jersey, our families and things like that, but we were representing the state of Arizona and the Arizona Diamondbacks team. So we wanted to make everybody feel proud of us. And plus the simple fact that we were an older group of guys, and we wanted to show everybody, hey, man, we could still play this game. Yeah, we still got it, and we want to go out there and win. And that's what made it so exciting. It was still a fresh, new team, and they had lost, 100 games or whatever. And then the next year, there we go. We make a run, and we win a pennant, and it was just exciting because every night it just seemed like the energy and excitement at the ballpark, the roof opening up, the white towels, the fans were just excited to come to the ballpark. They had the street with all the bars and restaurants out there, so everybody wanted to be a part of it and just be a part of that journey to be there at the ballpark.
Yeah. And now when you guys get back together, what's it like? Because I've seen, a couple of times you guys do alumni games.
It's like we never miss. We have a group chat that we're all on. It's so cool.
That's
because
awesome.
And we kind of, we are, even our trainers, everybody's on it.
Wow.
So we all keep in touch with each other. If somebody's kid does something special, or, we will, hey, so-and-so's son is getting ready to play in this game or do this or that. And we all like, oh, that's awesome. So everybody, hey, what channel is it going to be on, or what's he doing? And that's what makes that group so unique and so special. And even to this day, if we don't see each other for years and we all get together, there's a different bond that we have. We're all champions, so we're able to all come together and we just have so much fun together because we gave each other the business. But the thing about it was we held each other accountable. And when we were out there playing, if somebody messed up or did something that was going to embarrass somebody on the team, the best teams are the ones that you don't have to have coaches. We had great coaches on that team, Bob Brenly, Bob Melvin, and those guys, but they knew the right guys on the team, the ingredients that they had out there, and not only that, but they just kind of let us run our own ship. And every now and then they'd have to get in there and kind of guide it a little bit, but the best teams you have are the guys that can go in there and police themselves and know how to hold each other accountable. When games were over, if I messed up, Jay Bell or Matt Williams or one of those guys would pull you over and say, hey, man, that's not how we do it here. Or if somebody came in a trade, they learned real fast that this is how we do it here. We're not out there to try to showboat or to show other guys up on different teams and things like that. We want to go out there and play hard. We got ridiculed for it a lot of times because people said that we were too stiff and we were not having fun and things like that. We had a lot of fun in the clubhouse, but we didn't show that when we were out on the field because we wanted to be business. We wanted to be all about business. We wanted to win, and it ended up proving us the right way at the end.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about you guys all coming together, cheering for each other's kids. Your son, obviously, getting drafted into the Giants organization. What is it like for you now in the second phase of your life, but being able to watch your son and obviously the impact of you playing now, what it's done for him in his life?
Yeah, well, last year he got what they call Rule 5, which means he wasn't protected by the Giants, so the Pittsburgh Pirates picked him up. So, and he had a great year this year, which I'm super proud of because he continues to work hard. But it's excruciating as a parent that has played in the game, and it's hard. And I have to find that balance sometimes of being dad and trying to be a super coach. And I think a lot of dads and parents find that sometimes where, even when I coached him, he would go, have 3 for 4, getting 3 hits out of 4 times up. And instead of encouraging him and being so proud of him, I would always talk about that at bat that he didn't get the hit. And I think that's some things that I had to learn the hard way by riding home by myself sometimes after games, because he's a triplet. I have two daughters too. So my wife would say, hey, we're going to go eat. I don't know where you're going because we don't want to be around you right now. But I always had one daughter that was always on my side that was always, I'll talk to dad in the car and kind of give me the scolding, even though they were little. But you know, that's my son and I now, we're really close and tight, and I'm able to talk to him a little bit more. And I think he understands more that I'm more trying to help him than, you know, trying to hinder him more, because I made a lot of mistakes in my career. And, you know, whether it's from playing wise and, you know, learning things and watching different players and things like that. So I try to give him that shortcut and say, hey, try watching this instead of, but my wife always tells me he's got to make his own mistakes too and got to learn, you know, his way and his path. So, and we're all wired different.
I mean, you can apply that to anything in parenting, right? You just want to always tell your kids, don't make my mistakes. Yeah. And obviously this applies.
And I was more like, when I played, I like to have fun in the locker room stuff, but I was a little more intense. And my son is more quiet, you know, not as vocal. And I mean, he's a big kid, but he's just
tall. What, 6'4"?
Yeah, 6'4", 6'5", but he's not as, you know, he's more of a background guy. I'm more, because I think it's more of how you grew up. I mean, I grew up in a household. If you didn't speak, you were going to get left behind, right? You know how it is. So for me, it was just a little bit different. And my daughters, I mean, I have one that's an actress in LA, and my other daughter's getting ready to get married. She started her own little clothing line, and she's engaged to a guy who's an actual pitcher in the big leagues for the Texas Rangers. How we let a pitcher in our house, I have no idea with position guys, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I love it. And people always go, hey, are you an empty nester yet? Because my kids are 24 now, and I go, no, we love having everybody in because that's how I grew up. I always had friends and family and everybody over, and my wife's the same way. She's a Texas girl, and we love having people over, and that's why we rather have everybody at our house than our kids going somewhere else. That was my parents
too, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I just remember pictures of them, just small, little at the
doing
ballpark.
the milk posters.
And now I can't believe they're 24.
I know.
Are we getting old?
We're getting very old. A little bit. They let us know too.
They do.
Whenever they get a chance.
Well, just seeing the pictures and just hearing that one's going to get married soon, I'm like, no, that's crazy. But was he the type growing up, Jacob, just say, I want to do exactly what you're doing, Dad? Or was it kind of just, I mean, you come from a family of baseball with your brother, yourself, and obviously now allowing a pitcher into the family too. But is this something for him growing up? He's like, I want to do what Dad's doing.
I think he wants to do it, and he continues to work hard. The thing that I try to tell him now is I know he can do it. I know he can make it. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be disappointed in him. I still love him with all my heart. And it's hard. It's hard to get there. There's only a few, select guys that get an opportunity to do that. But I'm proud of him for going out there and every day. And the big thing with him is he doesn't like to tell people that I'm his dad, because he wants to earn everything that he has, which to me, I'm super proud of that. And I mean, people eventually find out when you look at his bio, his profile, it says relationship on every player. It'll say if they have a cousin or a brother or a dad or whatever that played, it says son of former major leaguer Luis Gonzalez, which, that's going to happen. But for him, he's like, Dad, like there's been a couple times, Dad, if you come to the game, just come late, or, and I respect that. I don't want to be in the forefront anyway. It's his journey, his career, and I want him to go out there and do it his way. So, it's hard because I want to be there. And I've watched games on TV. He started out the year real good this year. My wife's like, you're not going to mess him up. You're staying at home. And we laugh about it, but it's true. I mean, because sometimes when I'm there, I feel like I put added pressure on him, and I don't want him to feel that when he's out there playing. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about just family, the culture aspect with Hispanic Heritage Month coming up here. How important is it for you just to be a representative, not only here in Arizona, where we have a mixed bag of obviously Hispanics here, but keeping your Cuban roots as well. Your dad was a Cuban baker, your mom a school teacher. You talk about growing up in a home with your nana, your tata, your cousins, everyone there. So how important has it been for you just to keep that those roots strong here?
It's unique for me because I think I'm different because I look American. And my mom did too, and she was from Cuba, which was kind of weird.
I have cousins that are literally blonde, blue eyes, would never know.
Yeah, but I grew up in a neighborhood where it had Cubans and it had African Americans, and then a lot of playing with a lot of white players and Hispanics and African Americans and Asians and different cultures, and I was always the fence guy. Like I can go either way. So when the Latin guys would come, I speak English, I speak Spanish. So I was kind of the guy they leaned on, and for me to be a part of that culture, I'm proud of it. And at the same time, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into that one category because I'm always about helping people. And I never look at race, color, or religion when I'm out there. I'm always looking at who that person is and how can I help them if there's a way that I can help. But and that's part of the Hispanic culture is about giving, sharing what you have and just being a part of that. And for me, that's what was important. But I do like to go back home, and I grew up in a community where, when the newspapers were big, I grew up in a baseball-rich environment in Tampa. And all those little old men would always look at the box scores and follow. They didn't care about the teams. They followed their guys, their players. And we would go, on the weekends, it was café con leche, which is coffee with milk and stuff. And then my dad, like you said, was a Cuban bread maker. So we would get the Cuban bread and with the butter, and you dunk it in the thing and you eat it. But I would always go, and then Domino's was really big back in the day. So they were all, there was a place called the 4th of July, 4 de Julio, and we would go in there, and then all the old men were sitting around the table either playing Domino's or reading the newspaper, checking the box scores. And they were always following their guys, and I was always telling my parents, I want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those guys that they talk about one day. And then when you finally make it and you get the chance to come back, and then you go in there and there's still the same guys in there telling probably the same stories they were telling 20 years before.
But now your picture's on the wall.
Your picture's on the wall, and you're one of them. It's like they feel like they're part of your family and your journey. So that's, to me, what's very special about that culture and that heritage that you have, because they're so proud of you. And I always say, like, going back to that World Series moment, if I didn't get that hit, they probably would have boarded everything up and say, I don't know who that is.
Who's that?
But when you get it, they all go, ese mijo, that's my son. Everybody's so proud of you.
You're everyone's cousin.
That's right. Cousin. Oh, yeah, we're related, or we lived in the same neighborhood, and you're 5 miles away from where they were. And I enjoy that. I love the fact that people can relate to you and feel like they're a part of who you are.
So for you, combining community, all of your passions into one, you came up with Hometown Heroes. Just talk to me a little bit about the background story on that and why you chose first responders to give back to.
Well, for me, I think it was important. They're a huge part of the community. And I'm always taken aback when people go, oh, you're a hero. And I go, no, I'm not a hero. I'm doing something that millions of people want to do. The real heroes are like the police, the fire, the paramedics, the first responders that go out there and that are running into trouble and harm, or when people need help, they're there. Those are the real heroes to me. And there was a time when people were knocking them and not wanting to acknowledge them and things like that. And that's where I said, no, I have to step up now and use my platform to try to help. And that's why I'm so excited when State 48 said, hey, let's collaborate and do some type of shirt where funds will go back to your Hometown Heroes thing. And I'm about local. I'm always about local and trying to help local companies and local people if they can help make an impact in the community. And for me, that was huge. And Nick and Mike and everybody around State 48, for me, it was a no-brainer just to be a part of it and to know that we're going to help impact other people and in the first responder community. It's so special. And to see everybody wearing the shirts around town and stuff, it's a sense of pride that I have, because I know that people don't just buy it for the shirt. They buy it because it has a sentimental meaning to it. And that's what's most important to me.
Yeah, $5 of every shirt that you purchase goes straight to your funding. So you're able to impact thousands and thousands of people. Have you had a moment where you've seen the shirt and there's something that comes out of it that just impacts you?
Yes. So a couple weeks ago, funny story, I was in Tampa visiting my sister and my aunt, and we were sitting in a restaurant, and we were sitting at the window, and my sister and my aunt, because that's all I wear is State 48 shirts.
I've noticed all of your Instagram
all my posts. I know all my friends think, are those the only shirts you have? And I go, yeah, it really is. Those are the only...
co-founder of State 48.
So the guy walked by with his family. It was a husband, wife, and a couple kids. And my sister said, "Oh my God, that's a State 48 shirt, and they're in Florida." And I said, "Not only that, but it's the shirt that we collaborated with for Gonzo's Hometown Heroes." And my aunt and my sister, "Go out there, go say hi, go say hi." And I was like, no, they're with their family. I don't want to bother them. And they're like, "Just go. You'll regret it if you don't." And I'm so thankful that they pushed me out there to do that, because I did. I ran out there and I said, "Hey, are you guys from Arizona?" And the guy was like, "I just moved to Florida from Arizona." And I said, "Well, you're wearing the," and he goes, and then he realized who I was, and he goes, "Oh my God, you're Luis Gonzalez." And I said, "I just want to say thank you for wearing that shirt." And then he said, I'm with the Coast Guard, and I moved to Florida from Arizona, and my brother's a firefighter, and his family, they've all moved to Florida now. So it was super cool and I was so thankful. Sometimes things happen for a reason. And for me to have that opportunity to run out there and see people like that, because even to this day, and you've seen it in my posts and things like that, I'm either in an airport or somewhere, and if you see somebody wearing that shirt, it's automatically you're drawn to it, and you go, "Hey, you're from Arizona," or they'll go, "No, it's my cousin or somebody. I got this shirt. I like this shirt. I was visiting there," or something like that. And it's always a bond or a tie that you have with people. It's strangers. And that's what makes it so cool, especially all the collaborations. That's what I'm most proud about this company, State 48, is that they're out there trying to help promote different organizations and charities and different functions and things like that. And always the proceeds of the sales go to different things, whether it's my Hometown Heroes or a business or any type of special event or some needs that somebody might have that they're doing for autism or for a hospital or anything like that. It's pretty special and unique. It's a great group of people that work here, and I'm super proud to be associated with them and be friends with all of them.
Yeah, we always say it's more than the T-shirt, and obviously the impact is huge what they're doing here.
It really is, and sometimes I don't think they realize that.
No, but we're so thankful to have you as a friend, and now a friend and a guest of our podcast that we're launching here. I'm not going to lie, my inner child is still just like, is this a real moment going on right here?
I appreciate it.
My hometown hero, Gonzo, joining the show. So make sure that you subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and All Things Podcast, because we're out here now. So bring some friends on too.
I'm on.
For next
I'm joining.
Thank you so much, Gonzo.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.